All right, everyone, we have to talk about Yemen. As you know, the Saudi Arabians and the Houthi rebels in Yemen, not the government, but the Houthi, have been sparring now for quite some time, and it's caused basically the breakdown of society in Yemen to the point at which they're now suffering a cholera epidemic, which is roughly reminiscent of what happened, you'll remember, in Haiti, another nation that was kind of sort of developing at the time and then just got totally laid waste to and now is probably one of the most miserable places on earth to be. It was already miserable, but more so now. International aid pours in and they don't do anything for anybody. Red Cross never built any of the homes they promised. Clinton Foundation was there apparently, according to some of the people there, to run drugs of all things as opposed to helping people. Now, because they have the earthquake, resulting tsunami, destroys most of their infrastructure, they get screwed. Yemen is similar, but it's not a natural disaster. It's the result of warfare both within Yemen and without Yemen, essentially. The government there, embattled as it is, barely clinging to its relevance. Houthi rebels control large areas. The Saudi Arabians got involved. They said, well, we can't deal with this fact. We don't want to be surrounded by Shia militias. They thought it was Iran sponsoring things. And the Shia world says, no, the Saudis are just trying to purge the Shia there. And so now they've got cholera. And unfortunately, in a situation where you've got active warfare and no real infrastructure left, it's going to keep ravaging the countryside. Thankfully, cholera itself is not one of those diseases. It's not like Ebola. It's not like, 90% death rate or something. As long as the person has access to the basic rudiments of nutrition and water, they probably recover from having cholera. It's sort of the Montezuma's revenge. Brutal diarrhea and vomiting and nausea, essentially. Unfortunately, when you have an active war zone, it's not entirely clear that every population is going to have access to those things when it breaks out. There are other diseases. Once you get a population that's hungry, migratory in nature because, there's constant fighting going on and doesn't have access to clean water. Cholera is one of the main concerns, but you can also get outbreaks of other diseases. One of the things people don't realize is you have a sort of a general immunity to many diseases anyway in areas of the world where people are properly nourished. Their immune system is functioning properly. You have some degree of sanitation going on. You have less of the sort of the pests and the sewage and general uncleanliness that can spawn disease. It's almost a little bit of a throwback to the miasmatic theory. The smartest minds of the Black Plague days suggested running water as a way to blast away all the filth because they thought foul vapors were causing disease. In reality, the buildup of human waste and shit like that was spawning sort of, in a way, the disease because, of course, it led to a lot of rats and other carriers of the fleas that were giving them the plague. You could get an outbreak of plague in Yemen at any time. You could get outbreaks of leprosy. Polio could certainly come back. Syria has had this problem too. Both Syria and certain parts of Pakistan have seen a resurgence of a disease that in most parts of the world has been all but eradicated, and in many parts of the world was at least becoming far less common. It's close to being an extinct disease, like it was going to be the next smallpox. Oh, well, it no longer exists. Huzzah, one less thing that we have to worry about. Now it's resurging in several parts of the world. It's like leprosy. Leprosy, even in India, which is its largest natural reservoir now, is a rarity now. There are a lot of people, again, properly nourished, going to be difficult for them to actually contract it. Improperly nourished, well, you can send the medical infrastructure in to help with the problem. Then you get some little area that's rocked by tribal warfare and the disease comes back. The world needs to get a little bit more serious, especially the West, about whether we want to start proxy conflicts that have the secondary effect that nobody ever talks about, which is that disease can come back into these areas that have been destabilized. It certainly happened. I can't remember the name of it. There was some sort of flesh-eating disease that erupted in Syria and in parts of Libya. As ISIS was spreading through, I think it was, is it called leptospirosis or something like that? I'm probably saying it totally. I'm probably mixing up 3 or 4 diseases. They had some sort of flesh-eating ailment that they got. It would eat your flesh right off the bones. And in a proper setting, you can take care of that. It's like not even really a problem. But when you have people running around in an area where all the hospitals have been bombed out, it does become a problem. These are the sorts of diseases you'd be used to thinking about 200 years ago. Like even by the Victorian era, some of these diseases were being suppressed. By the late pre-modern period, we're talking post-sulfa drugs, they were no longer an issue. Now we have to worry in the West about a resurgence of drug-resistant diseases on the one hand, and then on the other hand, you have these deep third world areas. They destabilize, and all of a sudden, a new reservoir of some terrible disease comes back. Now, that's all we would need is for there to be like one herd of animals that actually still carry a little bit of smallpox somewhere out in the middle of Central Asia, and all of a sudden the whole world gets that again, or something like that. Could happen. Who knows? As Siberia thaws, you get some more diseases maybe entering mankind for the first time in hundreds of thousands of years. Yeah, it could happen. It is possible. There's a reason that they're down there in Antarctica with troops. There's a reason why they're monitoring all these spots that are beginning to sort of melt and deglaciate. And it's not just because of the natural resources that are there that they want to claim as soon as they're capable of being extracted. Part of it is probably a legit worry over long extinct viruses that could annihilate most of mankind because people wouldn't have any resistance at all. So this instability is not a good thing for the world. In a world where you have global travel, any instability with regards to the medical infrastructure or anything regarding human immunocapabilities, so to speak, is a problem for the entire world. That's about all. Peace out.